Chapter 17. The cultural symbol, Bad Bunny, Burna Boy. The artist as a living flag. The cultural symbol is not simply an artist who comes from a recognizable place. Every artist comes from somewhere. The cultural symbol turns origin into a visual language, then scales that language until it becomes globally legible. This archetype is built on the tension between specificity and expansion. The artist must remain visibly connected to a culture, region, language, or diasporic identity, while also becoming flexible enough to move through international fashion, festivals, luxury campaigns, streaming platforms, and social media feeds. Bad Bunny and Burna Boy represent two of the most powerful versions of this archetype after 2015. Bad Bunny transforms Puerto Rican and Caribbean identity into a fluid, rebellious, gender-bending visual system. Burna Boy positions himself as an African giant, regal, rooted, cosmopolitan, and historically conscious. Both artists show that cultural identity is not a limitation in the global market. It can be the engine. What defines the cultural symbol? The cultural symbol operates differently from the chameleon or the myth creator. The chameleon changes identity across eras. The myth creator builds fictional worlds. The cultural symbol builds from inherited codes, language, national colors, traditional garments, regional gestures, streetwear, hairstyles, jewelry, flags, dance, and historical memory. This archetype has four major visual functions. First, it provides instant origin. Even before the music is heard, the audience senses geography and cultural atmosphere. This may appear through color, texture, styling, body language, or iconography. Second, it creates collective identification. Fans do not only consume the artist, they see themselves, their language, their neighborhood, or their diaspora represented at scale. Third, it reframes global taste. The cultural symbol does not simply adapt to dominant Western pop codes. Instead, they force global pop culture to absorb their own codes. Fourth, it turns authenticity into design. The artist's background becomes organized into a repeatable identity system, not costume, not nostalgia, but visual grammar. The risk is simplification. Cultural symbols can easily become trapped by expectation, always colorful, always local, always responsible for representing an entire region. The strongest artists avoid this by treating culture as a living source, not a museum display. Bad Bunny, Puerto Rican fluidity as global language. Bad Bunny's visual identity is built around contradiction. He is masculine and soft, street and high fashion, funny and political, glamorous and deliberately awkward. His image does not present Puerto Rican identity as fixed tradition. Instead, it presents it as movement, Caribbean heat, urban humor, queer-coded play, reggaeton attitude, beach informality, and emotional openness. His visual power comes from refusing the narrow masculinity historically associated with many Latin urban music scenes. Painted nails, skirts, tinted sunglasses, shaved heads, heart motifs, flowers, exaggerated accessories, and playful poses all disrupt the expected image of the reggaeton male star. Yet these elements do not detach him from Puerto Rican identity. They expand what Puerto Rican masculinity can look like on a global stage. Bad Bunny's cultural symbolism is therefore not based only on flag imagery or national references. It is based on permission. He gives visual permission for Latin identity to be stylish, strange, vulnerable, political, erotic, casual, and experimental all at once. The Bad Bunny silhouette. His silhouette changes often, but several recurring traits hold the system together. The first is relaxed volume. Oversized shirts, loose trousers, boxy jackets, and open resort shapes create a body language of ease. This connects him to Caribbean leisure and streetwear simultaneously. The second is face disruption. Sunglasses, shaved hair patterns, buzz cuts, braids, hats, and playful facial expressions make the head a major identity zone. Bad Bunny understands that in the streaming era, the face is often the logo. He alters it without losing recognizability. The third is gender-fluid styling. Skirts, soft colors, cropped silhouettes, and traditionally feminine beauty codes operate as controlled provocations. They are not random shock tactics. They are part of a broader argument: identity is self-authored. The fourth is tropical color. Pink, yellow, white, lime, turquoise, orange, and sun-faded neutrals often appear in his world. Even when wearing luxury fashion, his palette frequently suggests beach, heat, fruit, nightlife, or summer architecture. From local specificity to global fashion, Bad Bunny's image scales because it can exist in several environments without breaking. He can appear in a music video surrounded by Puerto Rican street culture, on a wrestling stage, in a fashion campaign, at a red carpet, or in a stadium performance, and still feel like the same character. This is the mark of a mature identity system. It is not dependent on one costume. His brand also benefits from visual humor. Many global stars become frozen by luxury styling, expensive, polished, and distant. Bad Bunny keeps a sense of absurdity and play. He can wear high fashion without becoming solemn. This makes him approachable even when the styling is editorial. For creators, this is a crucial lesson. Cultural identity does not have to be formal or reverent to be powerful. It can be funny. It can be messy. It can be sexy. It can be contradictory. In fact, living cultures usually are. Burna Boy, the Pan-African monument. If Bad Bunny's cultural symbolism is fluid and disruptive, Burna Boy's is monumental. His identity is built around scale, large presence, large sound, large historical framing. The phrase African giant is more than a title. It is a visual strategy. Burna Boy presents himself not simply as a Nigerian artist crossing over, but as a representative of African modernity. His image draws from Afrobeats, dancehall, hip-hop, luxury fashion, traditional textiles, jewelry, and Pan-African consciousness. The result is regal but contemporary, a figure who can stand in a tracksuit, a tailored coat, or a richly patterned set and still project authority. Where Bad Bunny often uses play to destabilize expectations, Burna Boy uses gravitas to elevate them. His visual identity says, this culture is not emerging, peripheral, or secondary. It is central. The Burna Boy silhouette. Burna Boy's silhouette is generally grounded in strength and verticality. He often appears in structured outerwear, matching sets, sleeveless tops, broad trousers, luxury streetwear, or garments that emphasize his shoulders and stance. His posture is a major part of the brand. He does not need excessive movement to command the frame. Hair is another defining element. His locks function as continuity across changing fashion contexts. They connect him to Black diasporic style, spiritual resonance, and personal recognizability. In an age when artists constantly reinvent themselves, a stable hair signature can serve as an anchor. Jewelry plays a central role as well. Chains, rings, sunglasses, and metallic details reinforce success, but they also contribute to the kingly aura. For Burna Boy, jewelry is not merely flex, it is part of the monument. Pattern and textile are also important. When he incorporates African-inspired prints, embroidery, or rich fabric surfaces, the styling strengthens his cultural position. But he avoids looking trapped in ceremonial costume. The styling remains modern, often fused with streetwear or luxury tailoring. The politics of scale. Burna Boy's visual identity benefits from a clear sense of mission. He is not only selling songs, he is carrying a narrative of African excellence, independence, and global influence. His visuals often communicate pride without apology. This matters because global music markets have historically required non-Western artists to translate themselves into Western formats. Burna Boy reverses that pressure. His identity suggests that the world must come toward him. On stage, this becomes especially powerful. Large-scale performance design, warm lighting, commanding wardrobe, live musicianship, and confident physical presence combine to create cultural authority. He does not need a fictional universe because the real historical and cultural universe around him is already expansive. For artists building identity, Burna Boy demonstrates the importance of symbolic posture. Clothing matters, but so does the way an artist stands inside it. Cultural symbolism fails when the performer looks uncertain. It succeeds when the artist appears to carry the image as inheritance. The difference between representation and branding. The cultural symbol must navigate a delicate boundary. Representation is emotional and communal. Branding is strategic and repeatable. When these two forces align, the artist becomes powerful. When they separate, the image can feel exploitative or shallow. Bad Bunny and Burna Boy succeed because their cultural codes appear integrated with their personal behavior, sound, language, and public positioning. The visuals are not added at the end. They are part of the total system. This is why cultural symbolism cannot be built only through flags, traditional garments, or national colors. Those are surface markers. They may be useful, but they are not enough. A deeper identity system asks, what gestures belong to this culture? What textures and materials carry memory? What body language feels authentic? What forms of rebellion exist inside the culture? What does elegance look like here? What does humor look like? What does masculinity, femininity, or fluidity look like when filtered through this background? What historical wounds or victories shape the image? The cultural symbol becomes compelling when these questions are answered visually, not just verbally. Visual codes of the cultural symbol. Across artists, the archetype often uses several recurring codes. Color is one of the most immediate. Cultural symbols may use national palettes, earth tones, tropical brightness, ceremonial gold, or colors associated with local architecture, landscape, and climate. The palette should feel lived in rather than decorative. Textile is another key code. Denim, mesh, leather, crochet, wax print, knitwear, linen, sportswear, and handmade surfaces can all carry cultural meaning depending on context. The question is not whether a fabric is traditional, but what social world it evokes. Hair and grooming are especially important. Locks, braids, fades, shaved patterns, natural texture, facial hair, nails, and makeup can communicate heritage, rebellion, class position, or generational identity. Accessories often become symbolic tools. Sunglasses, chains, hats, grills, rings, beads, bags, and religious or spiritual symbols help compress identity into recognizable details. Language also has visual force. Album titles, typography, subtitles, signage, slogans, and social media captions all shape the cultural field around the artist. For global audiences, language difference can become part of the attraction rather than a barrier. Finally, movement matters. Dance, posture, hand gestures, walking style, and crowd interaction are all visual identity. Culture lives in the body before it lives in clothing. Scaling culture without flattening it. The challenge for the cultural symbol is scale. As the audience grows, the image must remain understandable to outsiders without becoming simplistic for insiders. Bad Bunny solves this through multiplicity. He refuses to be one clean symbol. He can be beach boy, fashion rebel, political voice, reggaeton star, romantic clown, and global celebrity. This complexity protects him from becoming a flat national mascot. Burna Boy solves it through elevation. He transforms cultural specificity into grandeur. His image makes African identity feel expansive, luxurious, and historically weighty. This protects him from being treated as a temporary crossover figure. Both strategies work because they resist reduction. They do not dilute themselves into generic global pop. They bring the world into their frame. Practical framework for artists. For an emerging artist, the cultural symbol archetype should be approached with care. It is not about wearing ethnic references as decoration. It is about building a visual system from real connection. Begin with origin, but do not stop at geography. Map the sounds, colors, clothes, gestures, slang, architecture, family photographs, nightlife, ceremonies, street uniforms, religious symbols, and everyday objects that shaped you. Then decide your relationship to that origin. Are you preserving it, rebelling against it, remixing it, glamorizing it, queering it, modernizing it, or exporting it? Bad Bunny remixes and disrupts. Burna Boy elevates and monumentalizes. Next, identify 3 repeatable visual anchors. These might be a hair shape, color palette, garment proportion, accessory, typography style, or performance posture. Without anchors, culture becomes mood board. With anchors, it becomes identity. Finally, test the system across platforms. Can it work in a profile photo, a vertical video, a festival stage, a press shoot, and merchandise? The cultural symbol must be both emotionally deep and operationally flexible. The power of becoming more specific. For decades, global pop often rewarded artists who became more neutral as they became more famous. Accents softened. Styling became westernized. Local references were reduced. The post-2015 era has changed that logic. Streaming, social media, and global fan communities allow specificity to travel faster than ever. Audiences no longer need every symbol translated in advance. They can learn the language of an artist's world over time. Bad Bunny and Burna Boy prove that the most powerful global identities are not always the most universal at the surface. Often, they are the most specific. The cultural symbol does not ask, "How can I look like everyone?" It asks, "How can my world become unmistakable?" That is the archetype's central lesson: culture is not background. In modern music identity, culture can be the brand, the silhouette, the stage, the mythology, and the future.